The love stories Hollywood never told you until now. For decades, these couples lived, loved, and fought outside the spotlight. They broke silences, challenged norms, and changed history. These are not fairy tales. They are true, bold, and unforgettable. Join us as we uncover the untold romances that changed everything. And today's video focuses on one of pop culture's most beloved couples, Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka. Neil Patrick Harris, a multi-talented actor and beloved television personality, was already a household name when fate brought him together with David Burtka, a charismatic Broadway actor and a talented chef with a warm, sincere heart. Their story takes place in the vibrant heart of New York City, where theater and television thrive. What started as a simple introduction became magical. Neil often recalls the moment he first saw David as a spark that instantly changed everything. At a time when same-sex relationships in Hollywood were still rare and often kept private, Neil and David chose a different path: live authentically and unapologetically. They never turned their love into a performance, nor did they hide behind the scenes. Instead, they appeared on red carpets together, attended events hand in hand, and with quiet confidence helped redefine how LGBTQ+ couples could exist in the spotlight. Neil and David's love grew through honesty, humor, and shared passions. In 2007, David proposed to Neil on the spot where they first met, a romantic, fulfilling moment. 3 years later, in 2010, they welcomed twins via surrogacy, daughter Harper Grace and son Gideon Scott. Parenthood changed their lives, mixing late-night breastfeeding sessions with busy careers. But through it all, they remained a strong and joyful team. In 2014, after more than a decade together, Neil and David said "I do" in a beautiful ceremony in Italy, attended by close friends and family. Elton John performed at their wedding. Yes, you read that right. A moment that was both symbolic and intimate. Their marriage was more than a celebration of love. It was a public statement at a time when the world was still learning to accept equality. What made their story powerful was not just the fame, but the ordinary things amidst the extraordinary. They share family vacations, school events, silly Halloween costumes, and heartfelt moments online, reminding millions that love, in its truest form, is beautiful and intimate. Neil once said, "Our family is just like any other family, just with a little singing." That mix of humor and authenticity is what makes people connect so deeply with them. Their journey also reminds us that not all love stories follow the same script. Some unfold quietly, others unfold on a global stage. Neil and David's story has inspired countless people to live openly, dream of having a family of their own, and believe that presence can change hearts and minds. So which part of their story touches you the most? Their courage to be present, their beautiful wedding, or their journey to parenthood? Let's discuss in the comments. This channel is about more than just stories. It's about creating a space where your voice is valued. As we move on to the next couple, their love stories unfold with their own unique flavor. A beautiful reminder that every journey is different, but each contains a spark that connects us all. Through these stories, we celebrate the love that inspires, connects, and sparks meaningful conversations in our global community. Love stories come in all shapes and sizes, but some are so great that they leave a lasting impression on us long after the final chapter has ended. One of those stories is that of Ricky Martin and Jwan, a couple who captured the hearts of the world with their elegance, authenticity, and devotion. Before we begin, I'd like to ask, where are you watching from today? Leave your country in the comments. It's amazing to see our community grow from all over the world. Ricky Martin, the global pop icon who captivated millions with his 1999 single Livin' La Vida Loca, had already built a legendary career before he met Jwan. Jwan, a talented visual artist of Syrian descent, had carved his own path in the art world. Quiet, subtle, and emotional. When these two worlds collided in 2016, it was serendipity. They first connected on Instagram, drawn to each other's art and spirituality. What started as a simple exchange of messages quickly blossomed into a modern and timeless love story. When Ricky finally met Jwan, he knew right away. "I saw him and said, 'I'm gonna marry this man,'" he recalls. And he did. The couple got engaged in late 2016 and quietly married in 2017, surrounded by their closest friends. Soon they were building a happy family together, welcoming 2 children. Their home was soon filled with music, art, laughter, and the warm energy of 2 people creating a life bigger than themselves. What makes their relationship inspiring is not just their fame, but their openness. Ricky, who came out in 2010, often talks about the joy and responsibility of being true to yourself. Together with Jwan, they have become icons of modern love, blending culture, career, and life dreams into a shared journey. For nearly a decade, they have shown the world that love can be both tender and intense. But like any relationship, theirs has had its ups and downs. In July 2023, Ricky and Jwan announced their separation. No drama, no public feud, just mutual respect. They describe it as the closing of a beautiful chapter and the beginning of a new family, one built on love, companionship in raising children, and gratitude for the years spent together. Their story reminds us that a love story doesn't have to end in bitterness to be true. Sometimes, love changes shape, but its essence remains. And honestly, isn't that something to be grateful for? What about you? Do you believe that ending a relationship peacefully can be a powerful form of love? Share your thoughts below. Let's create space for these conversations to flourish. And speaking of extraordinary journeys, the next couple we're exploring has their own chapter to tell. One filled with creativity, resilience, and decades of collaboration. Because we're here to bring you stories that inspire and connect us all. Follow along and celebrate love in all its forms. We always want to share meaningful stories that inspire conversations in the community. If you love this journey with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join this growing family. Your voice matters here. Hollywood has always been a place where fantasy and reality collide, where love can fade in the spotlight or shine brighter. Amid the glitz, noise, and constant attention, some couples create something real and lasting. One of them is Zachary Quinto and Miles McMillan, whose love story stands out not for its showiness, but for its quiet, authentic strength. Zachary Quinto, known for his memorable performances in Star Trek and Heroes, is admired not only for his talent, but also for his deep, down-to-earth presence. Meanwhile, Miles McMillan is making his mark in the art and fashion world, a creative force with a quiet, natural charm. When they met in 2013, it wasn't a flashy, attention-grabbing event, but rather the gentle beginning of a meaningful relationship. For nearly 6 years, Zachary and Miles have built a life that is both glamorous and surprisingly modest. They share a gorgeous New York apartment filled with art, laughter, and the rhythm of 2 creative souls inspiring each other. They've walked the most prestigious red carpets, from the Met Gala to movie premieres. They support each other's passions, Zachary's acting, Miles's painting and modeling, and have become one of Hollywood's most admired power couples. What makes their love story so compelling is more than just the fame. It's how they manage their relationship with calm dignity. In an industry often scrutinized for drama, they offer something surprisingly genuine: love without fanfare. Their social media posts are never performance-driven. They're simply Moments. Genuine moments of mornings together, cozy getaways, and life together. However, like many meaningful romances, their journey eventually came to an end, marking a quiet and respectful separation. In early 2019, Zachary and Miles decided to go their separate ways. There was no public falling out, no scandal, no sensationalized press about infidelity. Just two people acknowledging that their paths were diverging, and they did so with mutual respect. Their breakup was described as amicable, and to this day, they still speak kindly of each other. Such grace is rare in Hollywood, and it makes their story all the more unforgettable. Zachary and Miles' journey offers a poignant reminder. Not every love story is defined by a happy ending or a fairy tale ending. Sometimes love evolves, gently unfolding into mutual respect, deep gratitude, and a quiet appreciation of shared memories. There's a rare beauty in that progression, a beauty that shows maturity and sincerity. As we move on to the next couple, let's hold on to that feeling. Every relationship has its own rhythm and a unique spark that inspires. Because here, we don't just share sensational celebrity news, we explore the human stories behind the fame. Stories that celebrate love, resilience, and the connections that bind us all, no matter where we come from. And the journey doesn't stop here. The next love story is just as compelling. Are you ready? In a world where fame often outshines the people who live beneath it, there are stories told quietly, beautifully, away from the flashbulbs. This is one of those stories. T.R. Knight, many of you may remember him as George O'Malley on Grey's Anatomy, was not just a breakout star in the mid-2000s. He was also one of the few actors in Hollywood brave enough to be true to himself in an era when coming out could still jeopardize a career. While headlines swirled around other celebrities, TR chose something different: privacy, honesty, and quiet courage. And then there's Patrick Lee, not the senator, but the talented artist and designer who quietly rose above the glare of fame. Patrick never chased the spotlight. Instead, he stayed true to his craft, creating with heart and sincerity. Over time, he built a solid life with someone who shared his appreciation for a world beyond the noise. They met in the late 2000s, and from the start, their relationship developed effortlessly without the need for attention. Away from the frenzy of Hollywood, they built something genuine, a quiet relationship rooted in trust and shared values. In 2013, after 3 years together, they officially confirmed their vows in an intimate ceremony surrounded by loved ones. No flashing cameras, no sensational press, just a sincere celebration of love. In a Hollywood landscape often defined by fleeting romances, sudden breakups, and public spectacles, T.R. Knight and Patrick Leahy opted for something rare: stability. Over the years, they've proven that LGBTQ+ relationships can be just as solid, serious, and lasting as any other. They occasionally attend events together, but more often they're behind the scenes, supporting each other's careers, building a life together based on trust and respect. Their love story isn't about flashy gestures. It's about everyday moments, quiet dinners, each other's creativity, and being a safe place for each other in a world that's always watching. You know, sometimes the most powerful love stories aren't the loudest. They're the steady beat behind the curtain, reminding us that fame doesn't necessarily define love. Love defines itself. TR and Patrick represent something deeply inspiring. For LGBTQ+ youth watching, for couples who prefer privacy, for anyone wondering if love can last in the entertainment world, their answer is a quiet, steadfast yes. And that's why I love sharing stories like this. Every couple brings a different color to the picture. Some are loud and seductive. Others, like TR and Patrick, are gentle but strong, like a lighthouse that doesn't need to shout to lead the way. And speaking of light, our next couple shines in a very unique way. A beautiful combination of creativity and unwavering devotion. Their journey shows that love doesn't just exist in the spotlight, it can also bloom there. Through these stories, we hope to celebrate LGBTQ+ love in all its forms, spark meaningful conversations, and remind the world that love is for everyone. If you've enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation, because ultimately, these stories belong to all of us. There are some love stories that don't need flashy gestures or media hype to leave a lasting impression. They happen quietly, at their own pace, steady, enduring, and profound. In the vibrant world of New York's theater scene, one such story has gracefully stood the test of time for more than 2 decades, the enduring relationship between Nathan Lane and Devlin Elliott. Nathan Lane, a quick-witted Broadway legend known for his unforgettable performances, met Devlin Elliott in the 1990s. Devlin was more than just a star's partner. He was, and still is, a brilliant writer, producer, and creative soul in his own right. Together, they built what many in the entertainment industry secretly admire, a relationship built not on fanfare, but on mutual respect, humor, and shared dreams. For 18 years, they dated without fanfare, without tabloid frenzy, without dramatic revelations, just 2 men building a life together against the backdrop of the entertainment industry. While Nathan's career soared from Broadway triumphs to Hollywood success, Devlin was always there, a quiet creative force, shaping the stories behind the scenes. Their relationship was never rushed. It grew over time like a classic play, where each act was more meaningful than the last. Then, in November 2015, at New York City Hall, they finally said, "I do." There was no extravagance, just a small, intimate ceremony attended by close friends. After 18 years together, the moment was more than a wedding. It was a celebration of all they had shared. Nathan and Devlin have now been together for more than 25 years. They split their time between Manhattan and East Hampton, living a life that blends the energy of the city with the tranquility of the coast. They don't have children, but they share a home with their dog, Mabel, who has become more than just a pet. She inspired a children's book they wrote together. It's a beautiful example of how love can spill over into creativity, touching lives far beyond their own. What makes their story so compelling isn't just the length of their relationship, it's how they navigated fame without letting it define them. They chose to keep their love private, not hidden, and in doing so, they created a haven for each other amid the noise of showbiz. What do you think sustains such a long-lasting relationship, especially in the spotlight? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Their journeys remind us that not all love stories are loud. Some are whispered between the lines, built in quiet rooms, nurtured by laughter and mutual respect. Nathan and Devlin are living proof that lasting love is possible, even in a world that often moves too fast. As we close this chapter and enter another, a love story shaped by a journey as different as it is inspiring. Each story shines in its own way, with its own rhythm and truth. Stay with us, because this is just the beginning. Through these stories, we hope to spark conversations, build connections, and celebrate the diverse beauty of love in all its forms. In a place like Hollywood, where romances are often staged for attention and quickly fade away as soon as the credits roll, there is one love story that stands out for its sincerity and charm. Jesse Tyler Ferguson and Justin Makita. Millions know Jesse as the quick-witted, lovable Mitchell on Modern Family, but off-screen, his real-life love story is just as touching. A story that is both authentic and cinematic. Picture this scene, a bustling Hollywood gym. The steady beat of the treadmill, the clang of the dumbbells, and in the midst of it all, two paths quietly intersect. Jesse, already a familiar face on television, recognizes Justin, a young lawyer whose warm smile and gentle energy stand out amid the noise. The moment isn't a cinematic whirlwind, but there's a quiet magic to it. Like many meaningful love stories, it begins not with flashy gestures, but with a shared look and a deep, honest conversation. Their relationship developed quickly. Justin didn't come from a showbiz background, and perhaps that's what balanced their relationship. Jesse brought creativity and humor, while Justin brought a sense of stability and purpose. Together, they were more than just a celebrity couple. They were two men who saw a future together. In 2012, while on a trip to Mexico, surrounded by sunshine and ocean breezes, Jesse proposed. It was romantic, simple, and incredibly personal. They didn't need fanfare, just a moment that was theirs. A year later, on July 20th, 2013, they were married in New York City. Their wedding wasn't just a celebration of love, it was a statement. At the time, marriage equality was still being passed into law in the United States. Their wedding became a symbol of hope, not just for them, but for the thousands who witnessed it. But their story goes beyond just saying "I do." Jesse and Justin have become powerful voices for the LGBTQ+ community. They co-founded Tie the Knot, an organization that raises money for marriage equality through fashion, tie ties, to be exact. Each design tells a story, and each sale supports organizations fighting for equality. It's not just about style, it's about impact. Years later, their love has grown into a family. The arrival of two sons, Beckett and Sullivan, has changed their lives. If you follow Jesse on social media, you've probably caught glimpses of the bedtime stories, the playful moments, and the joy that permeates their simple family life. They're redefining what a Hollywood family should be, not through perfection, but through authenticity. And what's truly amazing is how they balance it all. Acting, activism, parenting, all while keeping their relationship grounded. They remind us that love isn't about the spotlight. It's about showing up, day in and day out, building something real. When you think of inspiring love stories, what stands out to you? Are they the flashy gestures or the quiet, heartfelt moments that build a life together? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to read your stories. Jesse and Justin's journey isn't just their own. It's a chapter in a larger book, a book about love, resilience, and representation. And as we turn the page, there's another remarkable couple waiting to be celebrated. Because here at us, we believe in telling stories that inspire, connect, and create meaningful conversations in our community. Stay tuned, because the next story is just as powerful. In a world where Hollywood romances often make headlines for their fleeting nature, there are rare stories that quietly stand the test of time. And one of the most remarkable is that of David Hyde Pierce and Brian Hargrove, a relationship that began as a friendship, grew over decades of devotion, and continues to inspire to this day. Their journey began in the early 1980s. Picture the New York theater scene, full of ambition, creativity, and young artists pursuing their dreams. It was here that David, a sharp, witty actor with a love for classical performing arts, met Brian, a talented writer with a knack for comedy and a big heart. What began as a friendship around 1982 blossomed into something deeper, a love built not on glamour, but on shared values, humor, and unwavering support. For more than 25 years, they've been together through every career high and low. David became a household name with his legendary portrayal of Niles Crane on Frasier, winning multiple Emmys and a Tony. Meanwhile, Brian has carved out his own path as a respected television writer and producer, bringing wit and warmth to the screen. Through it all, they've remained fierce supporters of each other. Behind the spotlight, their love has grown quietly and steadily. Then came October 24th, 2008, a day that marked more than a wedding. When California temporarily legalized same-sex marriage, David and Brian exchanged vows just days before Proposition 8. A law that temporarily banned same-sex marriage took effect. Their timing wasn't a publicity stunt. It was a deeply symbolic act of love and resilience. After more than a quarter century together, they finally had the chance to make their relationship legal. And they took it. Today, more than 40 years after that first meeting, their relationship is considered one of the strongest LGBTQ+ relationships in Hollywood. They've not only built a life together, they've built a legacy. Beyond stage and screen, they co-founded the Hargrove Pierce Foundation, which supports artistic and charitable causes that reflect their shared values. They've also collaborated creatively, most notably on the Broadway musical It Should Have Been You, which Brian wrote and David directed, proof that love and creativity can go hand in hand. Their story isn't about big scandals or sensational headlines, it's about steadfastness, quiet strength, and genuine friendship. In an industry where image often trumps reality, David and Brian remind us that true love doesn't need to be flashy, it simply endures. What about you? What did you think of today's story? Did it inspire you as much as it did us? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. These conversations keep our community alive and meaningful. On this channel, our goal is to bring you stories that move, inspire, and connect. True stories that remind us of the beauty of love in all its forms. If this story resonates with you, please like it, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on what's coming next. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that unfold quietly, over a lifetime. Some of the most meaningful love stories don't start with flashy gestures. They start with quiet, heartfelt moments. That's exactly how Cheyenne Jackson and Jason Landau's journey began, through shared vulnerability and a heartfelt connection that changed both of their lives. It was 2013, and both Cheyenne, a Broadway star and Hollywood actor, and Jason, a talented performer himself, were in a period of personal rebuilding. They met at a support group for addiction recovery, a place where masks are off and people face their truest selves. That first encounter wasn't staged by fate in a movie scene. It was real, raw, honest. Both were on their sober journeys, determined to stay present and build lives rooted in truth. And in that shared space of healing, something beautiful sparked. Their connection grew quickly, but not recklessly. There was mutual understanding, trust, and a sense that this was a love built on solid ground. By February 2014, they were engaged, and on September 13th, 2014, in Encino, California, surrounded by friends and family, they exchanged vows. The ceremony was intimate, warm, filled with laughter and tears. It wasn't just about two men getting married. It was about two souls celebrating resilience, honesty, and unconditional love. 2 years later, in 2016, their lives changed forever. Through surrogacy, they welcomed a set of twins, one boy and one girl, into the world. Becoming parents gave their story a new chapter. Overnight, the spotlight shifted from stages and screens to late-night feedings, diaper changes, and bedtime lullabies. Cheyenne once shared how fatherhood grounded him more deeply than anything else. Jason spoke about how their shared sobriety created a strong foundation for raising children in a world that's always watching. Their journey stands out not because they're celebrities, but because it's deeply human. Love wasn't their escape, it was their anchor. They built their relationship through self-awareness, emotional growth, and mutual care. In a city often defined by temporary connections, theirs has been a story of lasting commitment. Even as both navigate busy careers, they've prioritized their family. Social media glimpses show dance parties in the living room, shared family vacations, and little moments of joy that reflect something bigger than fame. They reflect a life built with intention. And here's what's beautiful. Cheyenne and Jason's story reminds us that love can bloom in the most unexpected places. Even in a support circle where two people simply showed up as themselves. It shows us that vulnerability isn't a weakness. It can be the starting point of a lifelong partnership. Did their story inspire you? Did it change the way you view love outside of the Hollywood spotlight? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Together, these conversations will help build a more inclusive and understanding community. We'll continue to bring you more real, heartfelt stories that celebrate love, resilience, and authenticity. Because somewhere out there, someone might need to hear that true love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up together every single day. In the glamorous world of Hollywood, where love stories often flare up and then fizzle out, there's one that quietly stands the test of time. A love story that began not on a movie set, but on a jogging trail in Los Angeles. It was the early 1980s. George Takei, known to millions as Sulu in Star Trek, joined the Los Angeles Frontrunners, an LGBT running club. There, in the informal setting of shared footsteps and quiet conversations, he met a man named Brad Altman. Neither could have imagined that this encounter would mark the beginning of a long-lasting relationship. Back then, being openly gay in Hollywood was still dangerous to one's career. George and Brad were deeply in love, but they chose to build a life together away from the public eye. For more than 2 decades, they loved each other in private, traveling together, supporting each other through thick and thin, forging a quiet but unbreakable bond. Then came 2005. At age 68, George Takei made a decision that would forever change his public identity. He came out as gay. It was a moment of courage, honesty, and love. After years of silence, he spoke up not only for himself, but for Brad and countless others who had walked a similar path in the shadows. 3 years later, history was made again. On September 14, 2008, in the elegant setting of the Japanese National Museum in Los Angeles, George Takei and Brad Altman finally said, "I do." Surrounded by friends, family, and some of George's Star Trek co-stars, their wedding was more than a personal celebration. It was a public declaration of love and equality. When Brad took George's last name, becoming Brad Takei, it symbolized a new chapter for both of them. And they didn't stop there. In 2009, they became one of the first same-sex couples to appear on the television show The Newlywed Game, bringing warmth and visibility to millions of viewers nationwide. For decades, George and Brad have been fighting for LGBTQ+ rights, marching, speaking out, and sharing their stories to help others live openly and proudly. Their relationship has now lasted more than 35 years. It's a testament to quiet resilience, to choosing love, even when the world wasn't ready for it. Unlike the dramatic romances of Hollywood, theirs is slow, honest, and brave, a beacon for generations to come. Stories like George and Brad's remind us that love doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. It just has to be real, steady, and brave. We love sharing stories that illuminate the human experience, stories that connect, inspire, and spark meaningful conversations. If this story resonates with you, let us know in the comments. What moments resonated with you the most? And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because together we can keep bringing these stories to life. And with that, we close this chapter, but the journey of love in all its beautiful forms continues. See you next time. These amazing love stories prove that true love has no limits. If this video inspires you, don't forget to like, share with everyone, and subscribe to the channel to see more amazing stories. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.